Let's talk about what males are expected to do and how men are expected to act in society. It is the man's responsibility to take care of, marry, support, and safeguard the woman. Although most men have no issue with this and are content to provide for their families, it can occasionally feel unfair to the guys who wish to spend their lives as single men and take advantage of the time they still have left. There is no question that single guys are and should be free to enjoy their lives to the fullest. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue for males who prefer to live a happy, single life or engage in other activities without running the risk of being labeled as egotistical or self-centered. Women are praised for doing the same thing. Why? Nowadays, people typically get married around their mid-30s due to the nature of our culture. They marry when they are financially secure, when they are clear about their life goals, and when they have found the kind of partner they want to spend the rest of their days with. But if a woman now comes out and says she doesn't want to get married because she's happy pursuing her job or simply doing her own thing, chances are people will applaud her and tell her how brave she is for making this choice. But if a man claims that he isn't planning a wedding because he is content with his current lifestyle, earning enough money for himself, and has basically had enough interactions with women to know that he doesn't like that aspect of life or that it isn't worthwhile of his time or resources, he will be viewed as being ungrateful and self-centered. So there is this double standard that prevails against men, and there's no one to point it out or talk about it. And this double standard is prevalent in so many other examples as well. If a man decides that he has had enough of his toxic marriage and that H needs to look after himself, or perhaps even give time to his elderly parents and goes for a divorce, he will be branded selfish. Whereas his wife, who is in no way a lesser member of society, rather makes more money, is more successful, and is even more socially influential, she gets to have half of his resources after they divorce, along with a couple of his assets. It's a lose-lose situation for him, and for so many other men who now see these examples around them to be very real and like possible to happen in their own lives as well. Women of the previous generation always used to say that women who didn't want children weren't selfish. However, they never said the same about men because they thought men had a responsibility to take care of women. But if a woman chose to take care of herself, that was okay. Now that I think about it, I feel she might have just been using this as a method to tell the next generation that they should get married to women who want to have children. Now, coming back to why society thinks men should get married will need more thinking. First, I think it's because men have always had the role of being providers for women throughout centuries. They were the hunters and gatherers, they were the protectors, and they were the decision makers for a lot of people, including large groups. It's only when the society sort of developed into what it is today that we have women who are also the decision makers of groups and even companies, they're heading households, leading governments, and basically have the same level of independence that men have, maybe even more. So, I think it's hard to let go of preconceived notions that have been around for ages, and one such notion is that men need to provide for women and for other people as well because that's what makes a man. Secondly, since society has changed so much, and since the roles of women have changed so much, we're still in that space and time, like if you zoom out to see a timeline of things. We're now in the celebratory phase where women are celebrated for choosing to not have families and children. Because it means that a woman is fighting those same preconceived notions today to change her destiny. I'm sure if we fast forward 100 years, people will say the same thing to women, that it's extremely selfish of them to not have children, when it is in fact women who can naturally and biologically have children. Men don't have such biological resources at their disposal, so they can't be the ones giving birth. Another thing that comes to mind when I think about this is that the human population will probably decline over the next couple of centuries because more and more women will choose to not have children. Society will keep on encouraging them to live their own lives the way they want, and when they won't have any children, we'll see a gradual population declines, especially in developed nations. So, coming back to the story I was initially sharing, I also think the guy's friend who was going to get married was neck deep in romance and love with his woman. This kind of situation really allows BP men to think that they're saving someone and giving them a happy life by marrying them. But men really realize too late that they're just tools that women use to get what they want. Tools to get a better standard of living, a comfortable life where they don't have to do anything. A life where they get to live the way they want, while they slowly suck out a man's resources, time, and energy. Why is it that men will choose to not have kids and basically go their own way to live an independent life? There are multiple reasons, and all of those reasons are valid, no matter what anyone tells you. The first is the obvious one. Men are done with women trying to constantly manipulate them, cheat, and live off of them for their own personal reasons as well as to fit into society. These men have had multiple experiences with multiple women to only realize the true nature of women. The second reason is that men just don't want to deal with the constant drama, the negativity, and the fact that they're constantly being used. These men give their 100% at their careers, 100% at home, and do everything they possibly can to make women happy by going out the way and to even put their lives at risk sometimes. However, when they realize that all they're doing is just something that women take for granted, and that these women do not give their 100% into the relationship, men want to go their own way and live a life of peace instead. I sometimes think that mothers can be very selfish. They want us to get married, put ourselves at risk of being cheated on and manipulation, just so that they can be looked after as they age. This might not be true for all mothers, of course, but it's something that I often witness around. Also, for men who do get married, there's no certainty that it's going to work. In other words, it's a complete gamble where you put in your cards and money and not know what's going to happen afterwards. Anybody who gets married to the girl he likes can have his life ruined. The woman he knew before can turn out to be someone else and instantly want him to give her money, buy her a car, buy her a house, and luxury products for the rest of his life, knowing that it might be difficult for him to provide all of that. And when he can't get her all of those things, she'll start giving him the silent treatment. The same silent treatment she learned to use as a child against her parents when they did not buy her that particular toy or Barbie doll. You see what I mean here? A happy and healthy existence is not a given just because you are married. Men who are risk-averse and decide to go their own way after realizing this are just people who choose to live their lives as they like rather than enter into a relationship that society expects them to be in. They don't want to end up as women's slingshots. Simple. Guys, just be aware. A man with free thought is not a selfish man. He is merely acting in his own best interests. He's not a bad guy for choosing not to get married. He still desires the best for other people, despite everything. That man will still have friends and a nice social life, and because he will have more money to give away as a single man, he might even be more giving. Do not succumb to social pressure that tells you that being single makes you selfish. It is not selfish for males to choose not to get married, just as it is not selfish for women to do so. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.